So you of course know me now as the nearest you guy, but I want you to turn your focus to the NOJ guy. So No Ordinary Journey is a local motorcycle apparel accessories company. And accessories, what I mean by that is we do not do, and I often have to tell people this, we do not do assless chaps. We do not make those. But accessories in anything that you would wear to reduce to help your, when you're riding your motorcycle or even outdoors to reduce wind or any kind of weather issues. So neck warmers, balaclavas, these types of products are the stuff that we make. And we make it out of fleece primarily as our main material. We also have a few products that use neoprene. One important thing about Nearest You is that everything except the neoprene is made here in the United States. So it's a made in the USA company. And specifically, it's manufactured here in Minnesota. And you can imagine that being a pretty big thing for motorcycle community, right? To have a made in the USA company. Though you'd think it'd be even more important than it is, but honestly, price point is more important to consumers, whether they are very patriotic or not. And when they go to Walmart and find the $4 neck warmer, and we struggle with those. And I'll talk about that struggle a little bit. But so the business started, be holding my helmet here, but the business started in 1988 by my uncle John. No Ordinary Journey, NOJ. Terrible tagline. So when I bought the company in 2008, I created that tagline just to not tell the story that it's my uncle's name backwards. No Ordinary Journey. He didn't have that tagline. He just called it NOJ. Right, and people would call it NOJ or NOJ or NOJ or all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm trying to change that over time. But No Ordinary Journey. So he owned it for many years. He developed their early products. Most of the early ones, and actually still the best sellers for us, are the ones that he created, invented. And so he did well in the 90s with it. He didn't make it. It wasn't necessarily a full-time gig for him, but he really tried to build this company and got a distributor early on out of Wisconsin, one of the top 5 in the country, really probably the 5th, but still. And so he ran it through then, and then he just wasn't a business guy though. He was an inventor. And so he, like for example, on the product itself, on several products, there is a 1-800 number on the label. And he let that number lapse, so he forgot to pay the bills once. And then just forgot, and it kept being, so you'd call and be like, this number has, you're like, how do you build a business when your 1-800 number goes defunct, right? And he didn't have a website, even in, by the time I took it over, he still had not had one in 2008. So when he decided he was going to try to sell it or just close it down, I came to him with a proposition, said, hey, I could buy this from you over time. I'd like to try this out. We tried the partnership thing for a little while and it just wasn't working. He was really out. He had been in the business for 20 years. He was done with it. He had family. He was building his own house. Like he was just really, really busy. And so we ended up saying, okay, fine, you just take it over and pay me out, essentially, right? And that's what happened. And thankfully, I paid off that debt just recently. Took quite a few years to get that done. But it's a very small company, less than 100,000 in revenue a year. And I haven't done anything in the time I've owned it. We lost our distributorship like day one, which was, what a great sale for my uncle. Yes, I'm out. And then the distributor leaves. It was just bad luck. What he didn't know was happening. And part of the problem is that distributors now make products for the companies that they distribute for. So they make the same products. And then who do you think they promote when they go out and talk to retailers like motorcycle shops and things? But additionally, it was actually okay because I think our Made in the USA tag just wasn't being fully utilized within the large catalog of thousands of products they would send to the motorcycle dealerships, right? The Made in the USA part is just so unknown within this industry now. Everything is made in China and Mexico and everywhere. So anyway, I took it over in 2008 and then I built a website, got some more e-commerce going. Got an eBay store, which has brought in some more revenue. But because I've been so busy, I teach full time, and I also run Nearest You. That NOJ has never gotten the time that it has deserved, and so now it's time to change that again. So revenue has been declining over time. We haven't seen the sales that I would like to see just because I don't go to motorcycle shows. I'm actually not a current rider. I'm not a motorcycle rider, so I really struggle with identifying with my customers. And so I think that's part of that ask, Patrick, that we always have of what can you do for me, is like really helping, if you know people that ride motorcycles, connect them to me. You know, maybe we could do like a product thing where they could just try out some products or use it for, and be kind of our influencers a little bit. I'd like to find some local community groups that do that. You know, we need to do more shows. We need to have that vendor table. We will when a big one comes to the convention center this winter. So right now it's that we're rebooting, right? We're a 30-year-old company that needs to reboot and be like a startup again and act agile and make these decisions on the fly and not, you know, like an old manufacturing company, right? Start telling our story again through video. You know, some of those types of things need to happen just to start reinvesting in the company. We're rebuilding the site right now. I thought it'd be up this week, but it'll be up in the next 2 weeks. A new site on Shopify. Amazon storefront is coming within 2 weeks as well. I've got that set up, so that's another front for direct to retail, you know, to the consumer, I mean. Retailer is hard to get in because they want a distributor. It's easier for them to have the, you know, the 500-page catalog and order out of there than it is to a onesie twosie from a small vendor like me. So those are the current challenges. Is how do you rebuild a company that's 30 years old and has this old set? We have fans that are in their 60s that actually write us postcards or actually snail mail messages to say how much they liked our products, and they still use it and it's still working, but they want to get a new one for their son or family member or something. So it's really amazing to hear those stories, and we need to put that on our customer testimonials. But to end, I'll just show you a couple of the products. So this is one model of essentially this has been flying under the radar for 30 years and no other company makes this. It's called a Quiet Rider, and it sits on the bottom of a helmet. So this is upside down, but right, it's like this. And it reduces helmet noise and wind debris, or debris that gets into the helmet when you're riding. And it used to be custom. These are not custom anymore. These are mostly universal fit, but they used to be made out of leather when my uncle started, and they were patented. And they would fit the 8 helmets in the market in 1988. Now there are 800 helmets in the market, so it's impossible to make custom versions of this. But most riders really like it. You know, there's a certain set that it doesn't work well for them. Maybe their head size, the helmet size, just all kinds of factors go into this. But, you know, when they ride, this is the cold weather version. So this one, snowmobilers use frequently, right? Because it's got extra stuff that fits down here, creates that gasket of air or snow for that. So I think this is where we need to start putting more of our energies. And we've talked to people like Polaris in the past and some other companies to like work together, and I just never have followed up. And as you've done any sales before in here, you know that it takes 8 touch points to make that sale and not 3. I've learned that the hard way. So that's the next step in doing that. And lastly, the other couple of products that are actually our best sellers are neoprene fork guards. So they fit around the fork, wrap around there so you don't get debris up in the fork and have to clean it. It's very expensive. These are $20, right, retail. And the same version but smaller are grip wraps. So they wrap around grips of a motorcycle or other. We're selling these now to jet skiers of all things. Who knew? I didn't know, but there's a new market that I need to work on. The problem is this packaging doesn't work for them because it looks like a motorcycle, right? So they don't see its practical nature for jet skis. But these are a couple of things that we make. So yeah, that's the problem right now, is rebuilding a company from scratch with no money, right? No, limited money, but limited revenue. How do you spend that wisely? Thankfully, I'm not living off of it right now. So how can I turn that money into increased revenue, increased channels, get influencers, motorcycle people? But yeah.
Oh, wonderful. How many SKUs do you have?
We have, with all of our other neoprene products, we probably have 35.
In everything you make?
Yeah. Yeah, we've designed, when I bought it, I made 25 SKUs. So all the missing apparel accessory pieces like longer dickies, other fleece products, neoprene face masks, this kind of stuff I created to make us more of a one-stop shop so they could get everything from us.
Where do you make it?
Edina. Yeah, that's a whole story in itself. So my uncle, what we need to tell for you marketers, for sure, is it was owned by, it's a small sewing business, family run, 3 sewers, something like that. And it was, my uncle worked with the woman who now I work with her daughter. So she bought her family business from her mom, and she still does the sewing for my company. So it's a really nice, and she's a second generation. Her mom was a first generation immigrant. So I'm trying to figure out how to tell that story specifically in the motorcycle space, but it's a great story, right? So same, we've been working with the same manufacturers, the same sewers for 30 years.
I like the No Ordinary Journey branding,
Mm-hmm.
way better than not.
Yes.
And I just searched for your website.
Yeah.
And I found a foundation for cerebral palsy in Vietnam.
On homepage, on the first page of search results? Yeah.
There's a movie, there's a couple of books.
For No Ordinary Journey, that is? Yeah. Yep.
That doesn't mean you can't carve out a niche online, but it's just, it's gonna be
Yep.
harder.
It is. Yeah, with that tag for sure.
Yeah.
If you search NOJ, I think we come up.
Okay.
And if you search Quiet Rider, we actually own, I think, most of the first page of search results, which is great. So Quiet Rider is a name I thought to actually rebrand us to. But that doesn't, and it ties in, except for those two pieces, it ties in well to the other products we make, right? All the face masky kind of cold weather stuff. You know, you want a quiet ride, but it's not only quiet; it's cold weather gear. But it's a good point. I mean, we can own No Ordinary Journey. It could be expensive or timely to do time. You know.
I would go for timely. I wouldn't just start spending money on it.
Oh God, yeah, no Google ads, but there's a way
Yeah,
to.
but if you've got a couple of terms that you can own and kind of
Yeah,
connect them up.
that's a good
it's
point.
worth it.
Yeah, I'm working with a designer now. He's got some SEO experience, so hopefully.
And so I used to ride, I don't anymore. In terms of like breaking in and a convention downtown sounds expensive and you might be one of 1,000 people there. My experience, especially Harley Davidson, and you may know this, like they have a culture all their own.
Yeah.
Like just people getting together every Saturday for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Dealership,
Yeah,
they cook hot dogs, people ride around, and it's like a weekly event.
yeah,
So you might think about
yeah.
local
That, oh, absolutely. It's on our radar.
I assume that's a little bit of a cheaper way to kind of get into that
Yes.
culture.
What I'd like to do is, and as I mentioned, if you know riders or know of riders kind of networks, is ultimately I'd like a brand ambassador / maybe even a kind of a GM person that can do do NOJ for their kind of thing, right? Like they would go to those rides, they'd be a part of it. They would. I struggle to fit into that culture. It's not who I am. I don't understand. Like I get the big bikes and I get the need to talk about the kind of brake pads that you're using now and the engines and chrome. I get that, but like it's not a passion in the same way it is for some people. So if it's not my expertise, hire somebody that it is, right? And I think that's my next step once we get enough revenue here through Amazon and our new storefront is to hire somebody to be that brand ambassador person. And an avid motorcycle rider, right? So I think it's a good point though about the local. The convention center one is actually not as pricey as it might. It's called the Motorcycle Expo and it's a traveling one. They do 10 shows in 10 cities or 15 cities around the country and Minneapolis happens to be one. So that's only a couple $1,000s for a table there for the whole weekend. And I'm guessing we would make more than just in sales to consumers than we would. So we'll do that one for sure, but they get pricey, right? And you got to do the trade show thing, or you've got to get the banners. There's some investment there. Thousands actually can be expensive.
I saw some signs for some sort of car show on the front door.
Yeah, somebody was telling me. Yeah.
Yeah, our host wants everyone to know that, yeah, they're having a car and motorcycle show coming up.
And we should probably have a vendor table at that event, right?
The
That's.
poster is right across the hall.
No, I'll have to take a look. But I might be late now, but it's one of those things that we need to have an events
They still have
list.
room, he said.
Oh, do they for vendors? Or for just
Yeah,
people?
I
People,
know, he just
cars.
said he just- yeah.
I'll look at it. Yeah, but those are the kind of events, right? And then if we get me or a brand ambassador to go to those events and set up the table and just get our brand more unknown locally, because nobody knows about us here. You know, very few people know that you can get a locally made neck warmer for motorcycle riding, right? So.
Brian, what kind of intellectual property is there? And I guess my question really is like, when I look at like the two.
Yeah, the grip wraps or the
you
fork
know, I mean,
guards.
Could you go to Harley or get like a Harley branded one, or are they gonna look at that and say, oh, that's a cute idea, and then they just go make it themselves?
Surprisingly, they haven't. And we used to sell to a lot of Harley dealerships through our distributor. And when we dropped, they didn't like this one because it's got our logo on it, but we have another one that has no logo. It's just a straight black one. They like that a lot. The Harley riders, especially because it fits well with the look of their bikes. When they got chrome and they're black and they're without a big logo on it, they like the black simple ones. So we might.
Could you do one where you license the Harley logo?
I think so.
Put it down there?
Yeah, I mean, Harley, we've talked to them a little bit, and I think there's a challenge there because a lot of Harley, as much as they want to be America, most of the stuff is made in China,
Right.
right? Apparel-wise. So they have a huge Moto Clothes line, they call it, right? Moto Clothes HD or something like that. Most of it is not manufactured in the United States, if not all of it. So when we come in and say, we'd like to be a vendor in your stores, and we make everything local, United States, it sits next to their $30 branded neck warmer, right? Versus ours that's made in the US and is less expensive than $30. So it's a struggle, actually. That's a particular challenge to get into with Harley, just because they have their own branded line of
Yeah, and
things.
it's not a Harley question, it's anybody.
You're right, and we could do it for others. And we've talked about that for the custom apparel
But
stuff.
why would anybody work with you versus just saying, that's a cute design?
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm gonna throw my logo on it.
And that's partly what happened with our distributor, right? They started making, not those products, but they started making our neck warmers and other things, and they were selling it as their own internal brand, and they had created a brand for it. So I'm not too, like, it's surprising that Quiet Rider has not been copied now, because it's not protected anymore. Uh-oh, that's on the internet. Just kidding. If it had been, cloned, it would have been already. We got a company out there that's much bigger than us that does motorcycle apparel accessories, and they have a helmet skirt. That's the very masculine name that this product has, helmet skirt. But theirs fits kind of wide like this, and people don't love it. And they've actually made gestures to ours being good.
You could rename it as the helmet kilt.
The helmet kit. That would go over well in Scotland, maybe. We get orders from all over the world, actually, through our eBay store primarily. We get all the English-speaking countries, but even like the Nordic countries buy from our store, and so there's a need. It's just, how do we fill that?
Is it even all that possible these days to get much IP protection
On clothing?
on clothing or anything designed like that?
I don't think so. I mean, this would be hard. This one might still fall. I mean, we could try again. We had that patent on the custom version, the leather one, but we could try again now. But honestly, it's first to market kind of thing, I think. It's being the one who's known. It's being the one with the big distribution network. It's being that person rather than trying to protect it. And then who's got the money to protect it? Like thousands of dollars in lawsuits to get the Chinese knockoff off the market. Like,
Well, so feedback
Yes,
for everybody.
please.
But with Inspiration Medical, we've kind of had that issue. I mean, we've been the beneficiary of it too, because we've noticed when we buy stuff from our manufacturer in China, they'll send us samples and it'll have the names of the companies on it,
Right,
all this
right.
kind of stuff. So
right.
we can buy, bandages or whatever.
Yes.
That are made for big company and buy the same thing, in a generic name.
Yep.
So we've been very reluctant to send anything over there that's proprietary to us, because we know someday our design's just gonna go on their shelves
Yep.
and be replicated.
Yeah, and we went that route. When I bought the company, I thought, okay, we're going to reduce expenses and we're going to go to China and we're going to, kind of do what we need to do. It was a bad experience,
Yeah.
very bad experience. And so most of the products were late, the quality was bad, whatever. So we just
Yeah,
stopped.
that's why we've just been buying like bulk product, in your case it'd be like cloth, but
Yep.
then you do
Yep.
the value enhancement.
That's right. So you can say it's manufactured here, right?
Yeah.
Parts from overseas, but manufactured in the United States or Minnesota or wherever you have it.
Right.
But yeah, that's a bigger message that we're going to try to get out is just hopeful be that first to market or the only one in the market or whatever.
The other possibility would be to have, obviously neoprene fork cover makes sense, but if you've got a neck warmer that uses Cordura because it's
Yeah.
windproof or something
Yeah.
to distinguish yourself from the others.
Yeah, these days fabric is really big. So if you're one of the bigger companies out there, the big winter apparel companies like your North Faces and whatever, fabric is a huge deal. And they have proprietary fabric and they have their own, just manufactured stuff. So we'll have to get into that more, and that's a huge selling point for consumers. Even if it's not all that much better, ooh, cordura, you know, all this kind of stuff, like, it may not be as neat as it sounds, but it sounds good, so we buy it, right? And I think that's our next endeavor, is to do the more marketing side of the product and not just make a simple neck warmer. We make 4 different versions of it, you know, simple or double windproof. We've got a windproof one, and that has special fabric, so yeah, we need to make sure some of that stuff, though, you have to be careful, because the brand, where we buy the fabric is not direct from, say, Polartec, but it's Polartec fabric, so we can't say that it's Polartec, for example, you know. So you have to be a little careful with some of that stuff, unless you've got an agreement with a fabric manufacturer. So, and there's a local one here, Specialty Fabric, or forget the name of it now, but there's a regional one that is really growing quite a bit locally.
That's the one that makes the cross-country ski gear downtown?
I'm not sure. There's a couple of them, but there's one that does just fabric, and they do fabric for all kinds of things, like car seats and all, Cordura kind of stuff, really heavy-duty fabrics for military-grade stuff also, but they're local, and I've seen them. I've just not had a chance to talk.
We should find for them.
Yeah.
Is your biggest challenge your ability to put time into this, given you've got at least 2 other things, or your passion or non-passion for motorcycling, or
Yeah.
something different?
It's good. I think it's probably the passion piece is, and also just doing it solopreneur. I mean, I don't know how many of you have done your own thing. It's very hard, right? It's hard to not have bounce, you know, not be able to have a discussion like this and bounce ideas off of people, and people especially in your industry, you know. And so that's been a challenge with NOJ, is that I don't understand the industry, so I've got to get it from other people, and then there's nobody in the business that, you know, and I might even consider a partnership in the future, right? Someone who wants to take it and maybe take it over in 5 years, but like come in as that GM and build equity, you know, kind of a thing, and then, you know, buy me out. That's okay too. I mean, I want to build it so it has value in the next couple of years in the Amazon store and those kinds of things, and maybe another distributor could, you know, we could get to that level, and then I'm gonna, you know, my idea is to eventually get out.
So it's just you, and you've got a partner who does the sewing and the
That's right.
packaging and
Yep.
whatnot. Who's doing the online stuff? Is that you?
Well, now me and another friend of mine who's taken over the e-commerce is going to be taking over the kind of the e-commerce realm for NOJ.
I know a guy who would be a perfect both brand ambassador and GM.
Yeah.
I just sent him a message.
Cool.
He's retired, but he'd be.
Yeah, just to chat with him, even have a coffee, have a
Oh, yeah,
beer.
if nothing else, he'd be a good resource.
Great.
but,
That's exactly why we get together. So, and if he's got other people that are looking at that space, but yeah, I need that passion also, and also just gets you excited, right? As a business owner and someone else that has that energy, it just yeah, let's do it, right? And I think that's.
Why did you buy the business in the first place?
I think the glamour of owning a business overcame me, right? Wow, I can own a business. I can, you know, I still like it. I still like owning my own thing and having making all the decisions, you know, in that way. But I thought also it would be easier than it is at that time. Right? That was a long time ago, before my other company stuff had started, and I'd done a lot of other just kind of selling things just to sell stuff. I thought, oh, this will be easy. I can own a company now because there's products and it's already set and it's all. It's hard, and it's a battle every day, especially in my market of apparel and apparel accessories, where there's so many competitors. And Joe Blow can literally go to China now and buy a crate of 1,000 balaclavas and sell them for $2, literally $2 when they buy them for one, make $1 profit, if that, and out, you know, shine everybody in that space. And, you know, advertising makes it, you know, cheap advertising, digital advertising makes that possible. Amazon, Google AdWords, Twitter ads, I mean, everything that they do just to sell, just to make a buck, literally $1, right? When I need to make 4 or 5 because my sewer is $20 an hour here, right? So it's hard. It's very hard to compete, though. I always said it was never a business I wanted to make a lot of money in. I really like the fact that I'm helping the woman that owns the sewing business. She's a single mom with 3 kids. She's asked, you know, like, it's just a nice story, and it's nice that I can support that story. So I want to continue to do that more than I do be the CEO. I'm officially a president, I guess, in this company, but it's a not an LLC. It's a S corp. So.
So when you are ready to hear the really nasty side of this kind of stuff, let me know.
Yeah.
I ran a business similar to this one, and I don't anymore.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't want to tell you this because it'll.
Yeah. Well, I've been in this business for 8 years now, so it's okay.
We should wrap up. Yeah, let's give Ryan a round of applause. Thank you.